everyone. So I have talked about this before. I'm going to do a review of The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. I think this book is amazing. Like I said, I think everybody should read this. I'm probably going to buy it and give it to people. I think it's brilliant. I love reading her blog. She has a website, The Happiness Project, and the subtitle is "Or Why I Spent a Year Trying to Sing in the Morning, Clean My Closets, Fight Right, Read Aristotle, and Generally Have More Fun." And the last name on the author is R-U-B-I-N, Gretchen Rubin. So I'm going to read to you the little beginning of it, and then I'm going to talk about some of the things that she mentions that I really liked and how it's written, how I like that. So this is the first part called Getting Started. This was a little dry to me when I was reading it because it is about 15 pages. I was kind of thinking, oh, I'm not going to really like this format if it's just her talking about all this, but the way she broke it down, I really enjoyed once I got into it. So I'm going to read you the first page or two, and then I will talk about the book. So she says, "I'd always vaguely expected to outgrow my limitations. One day I'd stop twisting my hair and wearing running shoes all the time and eating exactly the same food every day. I'd remember my friends' birthdays, I'd learn Photoshop, I wouldn't let my daughter watch TV during breakfast. I'd read Shakespeare, I'd spend more time laughing and having fun, I'd be more polite, I'd visit museums more often, I wouldn't be scared to drive. One April day, on a morning just like every other morning, I had a sudden realization. I was in danger of wasting my life. As I stared out the rain-splattered window of a city bus, I saw that the years were slipping by. What do I want from life anyway, I asked myself. Well, I want to be happy. But I never thought about what made me happy or how I might be happier. I had much to be happy about. I was married to Jamie, the tall, dark, and handsome love of my life. We had 2 delightful young daughters, 7-year-old Eliza and 1-year-old Eleanor. I was a writer after having started out as a lawyer. I was living in my favorite city in New York. I had close relationships with my parents, sister, and in-laws. I had friends. I had my health. I didn't have to color my hair. But too often I snipped at my husband or the cable guy. I felt dejected after even a minor professional setback. I drifted out of touch with old friends. I lost my temper easily. I suffered bouts of melancholy, insecurity, listlessness, and free-floating guilt. As I looked out the blurry bus window, I saw 2 figures cross the street, a woman about my age trying simultaneously to balance an umbrella, look at her cell phone, and push a stroller carrying a yellow slickered child. The sight gave me a jolt of recognition. That's me. I thought, there I am. I have a stroller, a cell phone, an alarm clock, an apartment, a neighborhood. Right now I'm riding the same crosstown bus that I take across the park, back and forth. This is my life, but I never give any thought to it. I wasn't depressed and I wasn't having a midlife crisis, but I was suffering from midlife malaise, a recurrent sense of discontent, and almost a feeling of disbelief. Can this be me? I'd wonder as I picked up the morning newspapers or sat down to read my email. Can this be me? My friends and I joked about the beautiful house feeling when, as in the David Byrne song, Once in a Lifetime, we'd periodically experience the shock of thinking, this is not my beautiful house. Is this really it? I found myself wondering and answering, yep, this is it. But though at times I felt dissatisfied that something was missing, I also never forgot how fortunate I was. When I woke up in the middle of the night, as I often did, I'd walk from one room to another and gaze at my sleeping husband tangled in the sheets and my daughters surrounded by their stuffed animals, all safe. I had everything I could possibly want, yet I was failing to appreciate it. Bogged down in petty complaints and passing crises, weary of struggling with my own nature, I too often failed to comprehend the splendor of what I had. I didn't want to keep taking these days for granted. The words of the writer, Colette, had haunted me for years. What a wonderful life I've had. I only wish I'd realized it sooner. I didn't want to look back at the end of my life or after some great catastrophe and think how happy I used to be then, if only I'd realized it. I needed to think about this. How could I discipline myself to feel grateful for my ordinary day? How could I set a higher standard for myself as a wife, a mother, a writer, a friend? How could I let go of everyday annoyances to keep a larger, more transcendent perspective? I could barely remember to stop at the drugstore to buy toothpaste. It didn't seem realistic to think I could incorporate these high aims into my everyday routine. The bus was hardly moving, but I could hardly keep pace with my own thoughts. I've got to tackle this, I told myself. As soon as I have some free time, I should start a happiness project. But I never had any free time. When life was taking its ordinary course, it was hard to remember what really mattered. If I wanted a happiness project, I'd have to make the time. I had a brief vision of myself living for a month on a picturesque windswept island, where each day I would gather seashells, read Aristotle, and write in an elegant parchment journal. Nope, I admitted, that's not going to happen. I needed to find a way to do it here and now. I needed to change the lens through which I viewed everything familiar. All these thoughts flooded through my mind, and as I sat on the crowded bus, I grasped two things. I wasn't as happy as I could be, and my life wasn't going to change unless I made it change. In that single moment, with that realization, I decided to dedicate a year to trying to be happier. So the first part of it reads like that, and like I said, it was a little awkward to me, and then when you start getting into the heart of the book, she talks about what she actually does. So I hope you enjoyed that, or maybe it turned you off or pulled you in. But in the first part, she comes up with 12 commandments, and her 12 commandments are: be Gretchen, be herself, let it go, act the way I want to feel, do it now, be polite and be fair, enjoy the process, spend out, identify the problem, lighten up, do what ought to be done, no calculation, there is only love. So she tries to set kind of rules to live by, and general guidelines, just like the 12 commandments that are in the Bible. Obviously more personalized and not as set in stone. And then there was this other interesting thing that I thought was really cool that's called Secrets of Adulthood. It's her goofy list, and this was really cute to me too. It says, people don't notice your mistakes as much as you think. It's okay to ask for help. Most decisions don't require extensive research. Do good, feel good. It's important to be nice to everyone. Bring a sweater. By doing a little bit each day, you can get a lot accomplished. Soap and water remove most stains. Turning the computer on and off a few times often fixes a glitch. If you can't find something, clean up. You can choose what you do. You can't choose what you like to do. Happiness doesn't always make you feel happy. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. You don't have to be good at everything. If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. Over-the-counter medicines are very effective. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. What's fun for other people may not be fun for you, and vice versa. People actually prefer that you buy wedding gifts off their registry. You can't profoundly change your children's natures by nagging them or signing them up for classes. No deposit, no return. So the way this works, once you get past the intro, is that each chapter is divided into a month of the year, because she does it for 1 year. So January, her focus is to boost energy and vitality. So she sets kind of rules or things that she's going to try. Her first ones she tries in January are go to sleep earlier, exercise better, toss, restore, organize, tackle a nagging task, and act more energetic. And then she kind of explains, some statistics, how she plans to do it, how it works out, how things are going with her husband and her daughters and her friends. She does a lot of little kind of philosophies from authors or, like Buddha and stuff like that. So she has Gandhi in there, and so there's all these little nuggets of wisdom that I really like. And she does talk about failures, that she's going to try to act nicer, and some days she just doesn't feel like it, or there's some times where she feels like she's going to, blow up and explode, and something helps remind her to calm down, and other times it doesn't. So it was neat to see, not everything was success for her, but overall, she was generally making a steady incline in her, she was moving forward, in other words, all the time in being a happier person and feeling more fulfilled. She also does a lot of kind of feedback from her readers. So I think she was keeping a blog at this time. So she gives you snippets of emails or people's responses when she asks them something. How do you do this? Or what makes you happy? Or what book was life-changing for you? A couple things that I thought were really neat that made me think. One of them was the idea that sometimes things that make you happy are not, you don't feel happy when you're doing them. For me, gardening. I kind of enjoy gardening, but I'm not woohoo, I can't wait to garden. But then when I'm done, I'm so happy with the flowers and the results and feeling good about it, that while I'm in the moment, I'm not happy, but the payoff makes me really happy. And she talks about a balance of kind of accepting the life you have and being happy with what you have, balanced with the idea of long-term goals and what will make you happy in the long run. So you should never just say, oh, well, I'm 18 and I just graduated high school and I don't feel like going to college and that's not going to make me happy and I'm just going to be happy working at In-N-Out Burger for the rest of my life. So while you should be happy that you have a job and you should be happy that you're young and you have your friends, you should be looking at what will make you happy in the future as well and balancing those two things. Like, it shouldn't always be, I'm not going to have any fun now, I'm going to wait 10 years, because you never know what's going to happen in 10 years, but it shouldn't always be just what makes you happy in the moment either. And I thought that was a really neat way of looking at it, and I think I know that, but hearing it made me kind of stop and pause and think about it. Another thing that she talked about, which I've tried doing and I find it works for me, is that she said like she was going to be completely nice to her husband for like a week, where she wasn't going to nag him, she wasn't going to, you know, pick a fight, she was going to go out of her way to do things for him that he enjoyed. And I've tried doing this, maybe not 100%, but I know I've made a lot more effort than I usually do. Right now I'm not working all the time, so I try to have dinner usually ready when my husband gets home. I offer him a back rub or a foot rub. I've been buying him, you know, like little beer or something that he really enjoys. A couple nights I've made him a bath. So I've been trying to go out of my way to do things for him that make him feel good. It makes me feel good, and I've noticed that he's been treating me in a similar manner, because it kind of just creates that, like, feeling of goodness in the house. You know, like our home is a warm environment where we're doing things for each other that make each other happy. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. Yeah, overall I just really enjoyed reading the book. I mean, there was just so many kind of things that you could take in and make them your own, or you could come up with your own. You could be inspired by it. There was a lot of books in here that I went out and put on my list that I wanted to read. I bought a couple books for my dad. So yeah, I don't know, it really struck a chord with me, and so I've kind of been trying every day at some point, either in the morning or at night, to think about the things that I'm grateful for. And while it can be kind of annoying sometimes if you're really not in the mood, and you're just having a bad day, like you don't want to hear somebody say, well, look at all the good things in your life, but I've been trying to do that anyway, even if, you know, it's a little bit difficult. I think that overall my attitude is changing. You know, you can't always change the things around you. All you can change is how you look at those things. You have, you know, kind of the serenity prayer, to know what you can change and what you can't, the wisdom to know the difference. So I've just been trying to focus on the things I can affect, what I have to be grateful for. You know, another thing for me is looking forward to something. I know this isn't really a review of the book at this point, but looking forward to something in the future really makes me feel good. So putting small things on my calendar, like this weekend, even if it's just going to a movie that's coming out or a dinner, you know, there are things that I would probably do anyway, but having it on the calendar gives me a date to look forward to, rather than like a whole year, you know, all the way to December, and there's nothing on my calendar that I know I'm going to be doing or looking forward to. So that helps for me. I remember another book I read, I think it's called Carrie Pilby, and she talks about how happy it makes her to buy new socks. And so, not all the time, but every now and then, something totally simple, right? You go to the store, you spend $5, you have some new pairs of socks. When you put on new socks, generally you're in a good mood, or new panties, or whatever it might be. So there are little things that we can do in life. Another thing that she had brought up was when she made a list of all the things that made her happy, and simple things, and she kind of analyzed how my camera is not making me happy as I'm filming my happiness project review. My camera keeps cutting out, so I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any other questions about the book, let me know. If you've read it, if you read her blog, if you go out and get it and read it, let me know what you think. I just think it's a really awesome book. I think that everybody should kind of stop and think about, you know, what can I do, little things on a day-to-day basis that make my life more fulfilling. And oftentimes those are very simple things. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.